Hello and welcome to this live stream. My name's Tom Ravlic. Over the past week, we've seen the Taliban move swiftly to reclaim government in Afghanistan, and humanitarian uh, advocates and also rights advocates are extremely concerned that the return of the Taliban means that there'll be a return to a essentially a brutal and repressive form of government, which was in place prior to 9/11, prior to 2001. This is a major problem for Afghanistan and a major problem for those that live there that have gotten used to what was to be a more liberal lifestyle, a more Western style of living. The Taliban's return has women and children in fear that they will be again repressed. We hear from contacts in Afghanistan that journalists are being uh, tracked, searched for, with door to door visits to find out who it is that's sending messages to the outside world. And there are others who are also looking for people who work with Western governments as well. So the current time is very, very difficult in that part of the world. Joining me today is a women's activist who has received recognition for her work in encouraging women to improve their being and get more involved in leadership. Rita Anwari, and Rita has deep contacts with Afghanistan, and she'll be able to give us some insight into what she's hearing, what her concerns are, and what governments like Australia's ought to be doing. Rita, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me today, and thanks for the audience with me. I hope I can give them back a very truthful information.
Look, I think the best place to start this conversation is with what you're hearing from your contacts in Afghanistan at the moment, because you've got people in government and administration and elsewhere. What are you hearing from people at the current time?
It's lost 75 hours going very critical in Afghanistan. Like even myself, daily I haven't sleep for like over 3 hours and more than 24 hours, being like on the phone. I'm in contact with my good friend, even like I don't have any member of family in Afghanistan, but I feel every single Afghan in Afghanistan is my family, especially those people who've been in contact with me for the last 1.5 years. And my heart's going with them. There is the situation is going, especially last 24 hours. It's critical, absolutely critical. And it's a rush in the street, and women is screaming and children is screaming for safety. And we witnessed what happened in Afghanistan, Kabul airport. People even they don't really think twice before they actually trying to jump on the plane to get on the safety. But if we saw in our own eyes, a person was dropping from the airplane. And so you may imagine what sort of condition you go through, you do that sort of thing. And this is what's happening in Afghanistan right now.
We've got, there are several things governments can do. The Australian government has certainly indicated a willingness to take a greater proportion of its migration intake from Afghanistan, given the circumstances. What are the things you think the Australian government should be doing now?
It's just not Australian government. We need international community to hear us what we're looking for. Australia, I'm sure in the last 24 hours we heard Scott Morrison say we're sending 3 airplanes to Afghanistan and bring back the Australian residents, Australian former government, but as we know, Australian residents, Australian former government, and some of the militaries all out of Afghanistan already. What's this state there? There's the former interpreter. There are people like working with Australian government, but that's not good enough. The people right now, the former Afghanistan government, working with Afghanistan government, and also the journalism is number one in basically in the front line right now. Their life is in danger. Their messages out in next 24 hours. They're looking for them to knock the door and find them to provide for questioning them. Who knows they're going to come back or not? What's happening? They're sending 3 planes. One plane is going for refill, and that means 2 planes going from Afghanistan. And how many people are you going to bring it out? So there is capacity. Australia have got it in the Middle East to bring them in the Middle East. And after that, they can, once they finish the old examination, the visa process, they can bring in Australia. I know pretty much in the Middle East and Dubai and Qatar and some of the other areas, they have got Australian bases. They have got that capacity to Australian government supposed to move those people they need, and they're urgent. They're in danger, basically, like interpreters, journalism, former Afghanistan government member, like a spokesman, or some people like was their face was on the media more often. So they're in extreme danger right now. I believe that.
What can it do? Yeah, obviously there's a fair bit that people can do from a point of view of advocacy and trying to get government to act. What do you think people should be doing out there in the Australian community to encourage the government to do more? What do you think they need to do?
I think every single Afghan, they've got obligation, that's their duty, to raise their voice to Australian government, reach their MPs, reach whoever is working with the MPs to raise their voice to Australian Parliament. But not tomorrow. We need now, today, right now. They need to move on to do it, because every minute is been counting in Afghanistan. I hope I'm clear enough. Every minute is counting in Afghanistan. Women and children, even men, they're going on like extreme dangers, because the Taliban was in 2001. Then right now, they're absolutely different. They're more aggressive than before. And I'm pretty much sure in next 24 hours or in a couple of days, the execution will starting it, and that will be public execution. The most of them will be journalism. The most of them is the former government spokesman, and the most of them is going to be former government member. What they have done wrong? They just work for the community. They're not member of anything. They don't belong to any political things. Whoever was belong to political decision, they're all gone from Afghanistan. They're just vulnerable people. They haven't done anything wrong. They just live in Afghanistan with feel of democracy. They don't even know what was happening. This is all sudden happened very fast. And I personally, behalf of the community, asking the international community, we need urgent help. Right now, everybody's sitting quiet and watching us to see the children, women getting died. Even if they are not in danger, there's no food. There are people coming from province in Kabul. There is no food for even I got an eyewitness from one of my colleagues. She called me up. She put me in the live camera, and I was watching in the children's in very bad condition. She didn't have a formula to drink. And this is what's happening. They don't have any, even they sleeping at night in small little material with no problem, something to sleep with it.
Rita, what changes have people like your friends in Afghanistan had to make in terms of the way they've been living over the past few days? Have they had to limit the use of their telephones and all that sort of thing?
As far as I've been in contact with Afghanistan, the internet's gone very slow. Hardly they can talk. They're most likely sending the voice message.
Okay.
The most media is gone down. The most TV is down. There's most of the news is shut down. And then its connection back to Australia is getting very hard. And hopefully we have an internet for next 24 hours or longer, because we kind of preparing for this one. Possibly they're going to shut down the internet as well. But right now, it's hardly we can talk, because it's very weak internet is to getting connection through to social media or something. But The number of the phone call I get, the number of the message girls, it's over 100 a day. I haven't slept for almost 18 hours or so, like 4-5 hours a day, because I'm continuously on the phone, and they cry, I cry back, and I try to be strong. But we're human beings. We're human. We can't hold it that much. People like myself, like my friends in Australia, in Queensland, they're going under extremely mental health. They're going under anxiety because what they're seeing it. We need Australian government to move fast. At least we can live in Australia back with peace.
Bridget, there will be some people who don't quite understand the gravity of what's going on because they're not familiar with the way in which um, the religion or the Islam is actually is segregated, and they may not understand fully what's going on in Afghanistan. Are you able to explain briefly what the Taliban is doing, and how you view their version of what they would call Islam, but I think you would say it's not mainstream Islam at all. Am I right?
Personally, this is my personal view. I'm not sure what the other think. It's my personal view. What the Taliban is believing is or going through is far away from Islam. It's far away from humanity. There's, I'm not sure, I can't put a word on it. Sort of things is inside the body of the human, but they don't function like a human. Human is not executing another human in public. Human not actually little child without a formula died in the street, or what they're actually doing right now in Afghanistan. And we continuously, so we tired of saying for the war. We tired of the hearing that people is dying. But right now the situation is different. We need to ask from international community to help them. But what's happening, the mentality would be coming, the Taliban, about Islam and non-Islam, I don't want to comment that because I don't believe what they believe. They believe in completely something different. They've been brainwashed some different way. Islam is giving so much opportunity for women to have a right for democracy and all of those things if we know read properly Quran. But right now, it's not about Islam. It's about power. So you have the power right now. Let people to live like on their own way, the way of the Islamic way even. But people is dying in the street basically today. That's what I'm hearing from Afghanistan because they don't have a food, they don't have a water, no electricity. That's what I'm hearing. Like when I call Afghanistan, video call, I see the street and there's a rush. Everybody's running around. Everybody's got a fear on their face. And women and children. So I've got hundreds of voices in my phone. They're screaming and crying. We need safety. We need safety. And this is what I want Australian government needs to hear us. Afghanistan need urgent help in next 24 hours. I don't mean to say 1 week. I mean straight next 24 hours. They need urgent evacuation from Afghanistan.
Richard, that sums up the situation pretty well. There now, if anyone wants to contact you, because you do some community work, you do some leadership work with women in the community. What's the best way for somebody to touch base with you if they want to contact you about the work and women's empowerment and leadership that you do?
For me to contact me, they know where's my social media. They can contact me through to my social media. Every 5-10 minutes, myself or my assistants, they're looking for their message. They're hearing what's happening. Any contact and emails as well. But one is coming back to Afghanistan has been helping them for last 2 to 3 years. Right now, we can't do anything because there's no bank, no money transfer things, and there's no shop and nothing. Even like they've got the money, where are they going to purchase them? The grocery? the food, basically. There's nothing there. And that's why we keep saying, especially the journalism from Afghanistan government member, spokesman, their lives in danger because the Taliban is looking for that. They actually send the letters behind of everybody's door. We have got the copy. I can put it on my social media. What this actually they send it to me, and they were sending warning. We're searching for those people to ask them question. What do you mean by actual question? That means they're gonna take them for execution, for public execution, because they're living in Kabul, because they're living under the banner of the former government. I wouldn't say former government because still Taliban hasn't signed anything. We don't accept this what they are there. They've been forcing us in the city. They're forced to come inside of the palace, but still international committee hasn't acknowledged them as a government. So I wouldn't say like a former government.
Okay, Rita, I know it's been a fairly tiring and a very stressful time for you. Thank you for sharing some of what you learned from people in Afghanistan with me, and I hope we can talk again in better circumstances.
Thanks for having me. I'm more than happy to keep you updated because our friends and our relatives, they are in danger. We need people like yourself to put our voice out. And thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me.